How you doing, guys? This is Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com. So the big winners from the New Hampshire presidential primaries are, of course, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, the latter of which dominated in the vote against Hillary Clinton, winning with like 60% of the vote, which is hopefully an enormous blow to the Hillary Clinton's campaign, which seems to be losing a little bit of steam, at least in terms of the fervor surrounding it. In fact, the only demographic in which she's really held or gained any voters is in the plus 65 age group, even losing women to Bernie Sanders, which isn't surprising because she's just a totally unlikable person and her true character comes out in basically every interaction that she does. So it's not surprising to see her losing steam, even despite the huge amount of political and monetary backing that she's get from all these large corporations. And now don't take that to mean that I'm a fan of Sanders because, like I've mentioned before, I think the guy's a raving lunatic. I do think he's more of a genuine person. He's just wrong about everything. And then also on the Republican side, we had Trump coming in with something like 34% of the vote, which is being split a lot more ways than in the Democratic presidential primary, where you basically only had a couple candidates, and there being like 8 still active running in the Republican or something like that. I don't even know the actual number. But Trump came in with 34%, and Kasich came in. Kasich, I don't even know who the fuck that is, the governor of Ohio. I don't even know if I would recognize this guy if I walked past him in the supermarket, but he came in with something like 16% or 18% of the vote in New Hampshire. And then you had Cruz and Rubio and Bush all behind him with even lower numbers. So it's a big win for Trump. That's what he's used to, is winning. And the interesting thing about the Democratic presidential primary is, despite the resounding victory, the huge margin that Sanders won by, due to a quirk in the way the delegates are awarded by the state of New Hampshire, Hillary could still come out with more delegates than Bernie Sanders, which seems bizarre. But for the time being, there's a certain number of pledged delegates that go along with what the voting results are. And then there's a certain number of super delegates, I think 8, which are allowed, or basically just typically pick whatever they want to based on what the party desires. Now, historically speaking, when it comes time to actually place these votes, the superdelegates have never gone against the popular vote, from what I can understand with some brief research. But, you know, so as it goes on and we see if Bernie Sanders or Hillary just win more and more in other states and things like that, it's unlikely that these superdelegates will vote against that. But it is interesting to see that despite losing to by a huge margin, that Hillary could still end up with more delegates from New Hampshire just because of the way that the system is run. So it's a very interesting setup. We'll see. We've got, I believe, South Carolina is coming up next for the Republicans, Nevada, I believe, next for the Democrats, and then I think it switches, and then the Republicans get Nevada and the Democrats get South Carolina. I believe that's the schedule. That should be on either the 21st or the 23rd. I don't have the figures in front of me. And then coming up after that is a Tuesday when there's quite a few states, so that will be really interesting to see those results as well. So keep an eye on the news in this channel if this is the sort of thing you're interested in, and I'll talk to you guys later.